So you wrote your first banger. Awesome. Let's get you set up so you know how to actually record it. Maybe show your friends. Let's continue.
Carry on.
What's up, everybody? I'm Brian with Musician's Resource, your source for basically how to be a musician in today's modern scene. Today, we're going to be going over part 2 of our Songwriter's Guide to Recording Basics. If you guys haven't already, you might want to go check out part 1. I think it's going to be like this side, maybe over here. I don't know. Go check that out. Catch up on where we're at. It's like a 10-minute video. It won't take you very long. By the way, guys, I do stream on Twitch. Link will be in the description below. I spend a lot of time in just chatting. So if you guys want to, if you guys have questions past what we're going over today, then please, by all means, come join and be part of the discussion. We also have the Discord available as well. It's a community of people that enjoy helping each other out. And if you've got questions on there that maybe I can't answer, then I promise you somebody else in there can. So let's go over setting up your first recording session. It's pretty much the main reason we're here. But before we do that, we do need to talk about something else. Gain staging and what that is. So to understand gain staging, you have to understand the difference between gain and volume. Gain is when you take that signal from your microphone and you're running that into your interface. When you add gain to it, that's adding more signal rather than just adding more volume. Adding more gain to a signal when you get deeper into it is actually where you can start utilizing things like saturation from outboard gear, but that's all later. What you need to understand is that if you're raising the gain on something, you are actually raising the physical level of that signal coming into your interface. Whereas if you just raise the volume of it, like in Pro Tools, then you're not changing the sound. You're not changing anything about it. It's the overall level of it. Understanding the difference between those two will mean the difference in recording high quality takes as opposed to takes that are just a jumbled mess and a lot of distortion. Even if you're going for distortion in a real dirty production style, you still want to be able to gain stage properly because you want to add those elements in later, not necessarily just track in with the noisiest, messiest stuff possible. You want options later. This is how you get them. So understanding that, I'm gonna be going into Pro Tools, and so a lot of the footage that we'll be showing you is in Pro Tools, but that it may look a little bit different on your setup. You just need to understand that I don't have all of the softwares. I'm just gonna show you on what I've got, and hopefully you can translate that if you're using Reaper or Ableton. Take these concepts, they're gonna be pretty universal across the board. Just understand that I can't show you those. So when you set up your session, you're gonna right off the bat wanna set up your master bus. This is the part where all of the audio from everything that we do from this point forward, it all routes through this one spot. And if we're clipping in our session, we can just turn this one fader down, it'll fix all of that. So once you set up your master bus, then you're gonna need to start creating tracks for your actual song. Now, this is a point where you need to understand the difference between an audio track and a MIDI track. If you're trying to create a virtual instrument, where like piano, strings, things like that, then that's gonna be all going onto an instrument track. And on instrument tracks, we use MIDI to program out those individual layers. I use MIDI for drums, I use MIDI for piano, strings, everything that you can think of that is a virtual instrument is that I create in Pro Tools that I didn't actually record. It's all done with MIDI and it's all done on instrument tracks. Now, say you're recording a guitar, say you're recording your voice, whatever, those are gonna be all on your audio tracks. The most important difference between an audio and an instrument track is that on an instrument track, without the MIDI, without the plugin that the MIDI is controlling, it doesn't actually have any sound. It's just a bunch of lines. So figure out whichever one you need for your particular song and run with that. You're probably gonna end up using a mixture of both. I don't think I've ever used a session where I didn't use both of them in it. Then once you have your tracks and you're actually ready to record, you're probably gonna wanna make that sound a little bit better. What you'll find is that when you just start recording audio straight from a microphone, it's very dry. Remember the difference between dry stems and wet stems? Yeah, it's very dry and it sounds pretty lifeless. And what you do to bring that life out of those takes or put the life into those takes, I don't know, whatever. The way that you make those takes sound good is you use what's called plugins. And some basic types of plugins that you would normally use are gonna be compressors, EQs, reverbs, delays, things like that. Every DAW has their own stock plugins, and if you're just getting started, this is probably where you're gonna use those the most. So what I would recommend is if you're doing a vocal chain, then start it off with a compressor, maybe run an EQ, and then most singers enjoy you having a little bit of reverb or delay. Now, as far as setting those plugins up, that's a whole rabbit hole that we're gonna go down on some other videos, but the biggest thing is understand that if you're using the stock plugins that came with your DAW, they have presets available. Play around with them. just load those up, see what it does to your audio, figure out the difference that it's doing, and find something that you enjoy. Most important thing is that you just get your tracks to a point where you can get your ideas into your session and it recreates the vibe well enough that you can get your ideas across to somebody listening to it for the first time. So that wraps up part 2. I know this video is a little bit shorter than part 1. However, I just feel like I want to take this little by little going forward, because this is where we get into the in-depth stuff with recording. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Be sure that if you haven't already, like and subscribe. And again, join us on Twitch, because like I said, I love talking about this stuff. I could literally talk about it for hours. In fact, I usually do. These videos, they take forever to record. But again, thank you guys so much. If you guys feel like I missed anything, or if you have any questions about the things that we did go over, feel free to post them in the comments below. I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. All right.